Olá, boa tarde a todos. Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much to be with us again in MONSTRA at home. We are again here with a very special guest and a very special friend in this Thursday of MONSTRA at home. After Arnaldo Galvão from Brazil, that talks to us about the importance and the story of the Brazilian animation. And yesterday we had also a very interesting talk and masterclass with Christophe Herral about the importance of the soundtrack, the music for the animation cinema. Today we have again, and we say thank you very much to our good friend Burak Sahin. He is not only a great artist, fantastic drawings, a good animator, but also a great teacher that we met several times, and we have been together already in Lisbon, but also in his city and in his school in Maltepe University in Istanbul. And it's a pleasure to have you here with us to talk about. This is a very important and interesting topic that you propose to talk about animation as a very important art for thinking and for education and for teaching. Thank you very much, Burak Sahin, to be with us, and thanking to share all your knowledge and experience with us today.
It's my pleasure, Fernando. It's been a fantastic experience having been to Lisbon, having been to the festival, and thank you for inviting me, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my work and my observations with people who love animation, people who want to learn more about animation or just enjoy animation. Thank you.
The stage is yours,
okay.
And when you want, you can begin. And after that, there will be some, normally in the end, there will be some questions, and I will put you the questions that the people that follow us will propose to you.
Okay.
And I have some for you also.
Thank you. So looking forward to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me make a brief introduction. So welcome everyone. I hope you're going to enjoy it. I'll be sharing some of my work with you, mostly through drawings. And since I started my journey with animation, there were things that I learned about animation, and those things have stuck with me since. And since I've been teaching animation, I try to pass on that knowledge to my students, to the colleagues who are interested. So some of those facts I found through my interaction with other disciplines or other art forms. They've said, okay, you animators, you have something different in you, the way you express yourself, the way you capture some of the things. Those things really separate someone who has a certain background in animation and others who are also involved with art, but are at a different medium or a different environment. So, and I started thinking about what makes animators different, what gives them that advantage, what gives them that edge over maybe other forms of art. And I thought about those, and I also had, before going with animation, I had my formal education in engineering. And since I've been teaching, I also was in a position to teach engineering as well. And at that point, I relied on my animation background to make life easier for me. And I've prepared some of the examples from those teaching days, which are not all that far behind. So, and what I found out was that animation also has lots of common ground with other disciplines, and especially from my experience with engineering. So we'll be talking about those as well. So with your permission, I'm going to start, and I will do that by sharing my screen. Yes, so that was my preparation. That was my outfit for the festival if I were to have the chance to be there. But again, it's nice to be on the online platform at least. And hopefully, if we get a chance to get together again, and depending on the weather conditions, I'll come up with same one or a new one. We'll see. So, okay. Well, there are some terms which are related to animation, and one of those terms which I try to teach and which I found to be interesting is the suspension of disbelief. So to rate animation, to rate the success of animation, if the animation is able to get that suspension of disbelief, and who holds that disbelief, it's the audience. So when you're animating, you cannot just think about yourself. You have to also think about your audience reaction. Well, how will the audience react to this? How will the audience respond to this? And what will be the link between my work and the audience? And how am I going to reach them? So, generally, we challenge the audience with things that they've never seen before. And they challenge us with creating something in return that will make them say that, okay, I like what you've shown. I'm going to follow your work, or I'm going to enjoy your work. So what can we do to achieve that suspension of disbelief? I've tried to prepare a summary of those here. It's not just about one element, it's about a combination of things. And one of those things I feel is starting with the design. The quality of the design in creating a likeness of a character which is alive, I think is the initial point. We as humans, we as characters, we are made up of volumes. So the more you are able to represent the volumes, the more you are able to represent a likeness of what we are accustomed to seeing, then it gives you that first initial step. And then you add the character performance, the acting, the storytelling, the animation. When all of those layers add up, they are able to then form a accumulation of an effect on the audience. And if we have done things right, the audience will be on our side. So in my mind, it starts with the design and then moves on up to other elements as well. So, and with the design, we not only create a character, but we also have to think about the environment, think about the interaction of the character with other characters, and also think about the way that we are going to portray our character. How good is he or she in doing what he does? Is he crafted? Is he dexterous? Is he goofy? Is he dangerous? Or does he propose a threat on us? Or will he be on our side when we need him? All those are the things that we must think about and instill in our work, so that we will be able to get the audience on our side. So animators, so they are more versatile artists in my mind. They think in a lot of aspects about their work, a lot of points which have to be covered. So that provides an understanding of design, an understanding of psychology, an understanding of cinematic storytelling, an understanding of acting, performance, the anatomy of the characters. So all of those things, when combined, are able to come up with interesting designs, interesting storytelling as well. And the way to achieve that, in my mind, is since I've been introduced to the idea of drawing from inside out, it has made life so much easier for me. And when I teach life drawing, or when I teach anatomy, the thing that I try to emphasize is, like I said before, we are made up of volumes. So the first thing that you're going to be starting with to create a likeness of a character is to represent those volumes first. So start with what is simple, start with what's basic, and then move on up. So drawing from the inside out, in my mind, in my experiences, and that's what I do with my work as well. I start with the volumes, I start with the basic shapes, the more simple shapes, and then keep on adding the details. I never start with the details. I just want to have a feel of something taking shape there, and then add on to it. And the way we add on to it, the basic line of action, the basic volumes, And then we can start adding the volumes. And then depending on what the characters will be, it can be a cartoony character, it can be any character that you wish, or you can still keep the same framework on a realistic character as well. So this final outlook doesn't matter. The initial starting point is basic shapes, basic volumes that you're going to keep constructing on. And the way to improve those skills is through live drawing. We have two options, either to work with a model in a studio, in a closed environment, in a controlled environment. That would be a nice case to say, okay, do this, do that. And it's nice to work with short poses, which are either 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. And the idea there is to capture the action through simple lines, simple shapes, but that's not a restriction. You can just go out, sit down at a park, and try to draw people as they pass by. So it again adds to the training of the eye, the training of the artist. And the main idea there is to draw without thinking, draw without any hesitation, thinking, okay, are they going to like my art or not? That's not the case. You're not taking photographs. You're just, what you're trying to do is you're trying to capture the energy, you're trying to capture the movement with simple lines, simple shapes. That's how we can start training our eye, hand, and the combination of both. So, and with those adding up, the next thing that we are going to develop will be choosing our poses. And another aspect that I found was creating an edge for the animators is knowing the concept of or the value of the key pose. What is the key pose? How does it help us? There will be instances we cannot animate all the time, but in the process of animation or in the process of teaching animation, we will work with poses. So those poses have to be selected in such a way that they are expressive, they're telling the story. So it will be a choice for the artist, for the animator to choose the pose in such a way that it will be the most interesting pose, most expressive pose, the most revealing pose. And it's just about trial and error. You cannot just say, okay, this is the key pose. Depending on certain conditions, of course, you can say that, but mostly it's just trying, would this work or not? Let's try another one, let's try another one. That's the case. You have to be patient. You have to search for the pose, and hopefully through work, it reveals itself to you. Let me move on to the next one. And this is the logo that I propose for our Faculty of Engineering, because most of the time when symbols or visuals are proposed for engineering, they're mostly very mechanical. They do not have the human in the mind. So what I had in mind was to have a human figure there, and from that human figure, put all the aspects that we may be studying when we say, okay, we want to train our athletes, and we want to put them in a situation that they're going to break records, they're going to be the best athletes they can be. So in the analysis of every issue that is going to affect the performance of the athlete, we are going to start visually expressing ourselves, and also from here, start visually analyzing the problem. What are the forces which are active? And with animation, of course, we should talk about gravity, we should talk about weight of the character, we should talk about the resistance of the wind, resistance of the ground, and the resistance that the athlete is going to have on the body, and what type of a textile should he have, or what type of a shoe should he wear. And all of those aspects, there will be designers, there will be psychologists, maybe there will be athletic trainers who are all going to contribute into the training of the athlete, and engineers will do their part, artists will do their part. So it involves, animation involves that as well, to have a set of mind where you investigate the things which are going to be active on the character. And the thing that we want to emphasize the most with animation is the force, is the strain, is the deformation in the body, or the amount of energy that the character should be exerting. We should be able to give the feeling that really this person is struggling or using up energy. So sharing of that energy, I think, is the essential part in getting our audience to really feel what we're trying to present to them. And with some of them, it will be very obvious, but with some of them, you have to catch a certain moment in which maybe it's not all that, it's not at a very high level, but still the moment in which we see the character in his or her natural state, and the moment that we are able to recognize how much of an effort or how much of an easiness that character is going through. Again, it's something that I'm trying to teach, something that I'm trying to have in my work as well. Are we okay with the speed? Good. And another aspect that animators, I think, have, and which is a good thing, is to break it down. Breakdown of things which seem to be complex at first, and then break it down into parts which are simpler, and when combined together, they form a whole. So understanding of design issues, understanding of additive design, subtractive design, combination of both. So that's one of the nice things about animation. Animators, they have a well-rounded understanding of design issues, design mentality, design reasoning, and it makes life easier for us too. And the same with the educator, and it's been we're almost at the same age with MONSTRA with respect to our life in animation. And since I started my training in animation, I took the classical animation program at the Vancouver Film School. And since then, I've tried to keep animation at the center stage of my life. And I thought I'd be making animation films, and that's still my goal. But along the way, I also had the opportunity to teach again, and I've had the opportunity to teach animation and also to teach engineering as well. So there was also a point where I used that information, I used that mindset to express myself better, and to present ideas in the form of stories, gets the audience to make a connection with the content. This, for example, may seem like a complex drawing, but actually when you start breaking it down, when you take more time analyzing it, you're going to see that it's not actually that much of a complex drawing. It's basically some parts which will be done in time. And I wanted to create a feeling for what lies beneath, in which type of an environment we are. And also this I used when I was teaching engineering for risk analysis or for project management, to see when we build a structure, what are the things that we must think about, what's the environment like, and so forth. So the other examples that I'm going to show will be about the layering that we use in animation. Same idea goes with architectural and engineering design as well. So this may be the conceptual drawing that the architect presents, and from here the engineer will come in and will take in the parts that will be his job or her job to conclude. So from this, the persons who are going to contribute with their professional work has to see the parts that are to them. Okay, so we start taking off the details, and then we start moving on to the slabs, to the platforms that the people will be exerting pressure on, and then to the columns and the beams, and then to the foundation. So same idea with animation, breaking down of elements which constitute the whole. So very similar in the mindset that we produce animation, and very similar in the mindset that we would construct a structure. Again, I use these examples to introduce problems to our students, saying, okay, this is an environment, this is a situation, we should be solving this situation. What are the steps that you would take? We would start with geological investigations, and then when a design is made, we would move on to construction process, and the design would propose this, and based on this design, we would go through these processes so that we obtain the final element. So this gives us the notion of time. So this was the initial case, and this is the information that we found out, and this is the process that we go through, and this is what we're going to have at the end. Same idea with animation. So that's the mindset that engineers must have as well, or anyone who's into a job or a process which involves adjustments or which involves progress in time. What's our current situation, what will happen next, and what will happen next, and that's sequential storytelling or sequential thinking. And I not only applied it to engineering, I also had a chance to train with free divers. So this was my proposed idea of training when we went out to the sea, to show the levels of different athletes who were having different levels with their capability of diving. So the ones who are, or just the warm-up stage, and then the more advanced divers, and then the more advanced divers, and starting up with the stretches, starting up with the warm-ups. That was my key when I was training the athletes as well. So visual thinking and visual presentation, I think, are key elements. And what should be the point of view that we should present? This image is, again, one of the aspects of animators who gives them an advantage as well. So let's move on. And for sequential thinking, and the fun thing about animation or sequential storytelling is you present a situation, you present an environment, and then people take a look at the characters, and they may like him or they may not feel a connection to them, and then we move on to the next pose. So I did these for a veterinary clinic. They claimed they had a medicine which was giving the physicians the capability of injecting instantaneously, and was saving them from the trouble of spending a lot of time on the field, and the livestock would not be bored. Same with the owner. So based on, again, this gives you the chance to take an idea and work with that idea and come up with a product that will be expressing the need of that employer or the storyteller, and communicate with the images or the movement that we produce. And same idea goes with, I use this for when I was teaching, again, project management, in the estimation of time, in how much time it would take to finish a work. It's a nice way to express ideas by visuals, and if they are created nicely or if they're chosen nicely, I think that they are more powerful. So here I try to explain how much time it would take for someone to paint a wall which is high, or a wall which is beyond his reach after a certain point, and what are the things that we should be thinking about when we want to propose and say that, okay, this person would paint so much square meters of this wall in these hours. So it's important here because we have to make a good estimation. For making a good estimation, we have to think about the sequences. For a certain amount of time, he will be able to paint until he can reach without any additional help. And there will be a moment where he's going to need an extension, and there will be a moment where he's going to have to work on a platform, and we have to make sure that he's secure when he's working on a platform. And so thinking in levels, thinking about the worst case scenarios, thinking about what we should be providing for this worker. And by going through these sequences, by storytelling, by thinking about what can happen, we may be able to come up with solutions which otherwise would have been more difficult. So again, this is another, let me go to the end and then come back. So mostly with engineering or with architectural work, we're going to have the image of the final product. But when we have the image of the final product in a design drawing, this is the situation that we will be in. So starting from this, we have to take this and take it to the final product, and we have to think about things that has to be done in between. That's the main idea of project management. Understanding what we have in this current situation, and then what we have to do next. So between this and this, we will have to decide on which works need to be done, how much of them will be required, how much will it cost, how much time will it take. So there's a new concept in engineering. It's called building information modeling. What they do, they call it four-dimensional design. What they do is they create three-dimensional views of the things which will be constructed, and they take certain time intervals and they create visuals. And when you just play them, it turns into an animation. And this is the version, this is my version on paper and pencil, but I also included the current situation. I also included other things. They do not include the trucks, the digging equipment. So my building information modeling had more detail into it, but still that's the new concept in project management, making visuals, creating visuals, trying to see what we're going to have, let's say 2 weeks from now, what we're going to have 4 weeks from now. And that's what they do to present to their employers in saying, okay, this is your investment. Based on your investment, this is what you're going to see 6 months from now. And when the employer comes in 6 months from that day, he or she is going to have a visual in his hand saying, okay, this is what you propose, and this is the situation. So let's compare it. Are you faster? Are you slower? How has been the rate of your progress? So that use of animation, that use of visual thinking and visual sequencing are now spreading more into other disciplines, and we can expect to see that going into many more disciplines, and education is one of them, engineering, medicine, maybe finance as well. We're seeing graphics showing countries in revenue. We see graphics showing companies moving up and down. So all of them, when presented in the form of animation, gives us an understanding of the dramatic value or the dramatic effect of things changing. So yes, more and this is a script, and this is a script I used when I was teaching geology, and very similar to a film script. I'm giving them the situation. I'm giving them, okay, this is what they have. This is about plate tectonics. So we have 3 tectonic plates here, and by these arrows, this is the key pose that I gave them, and I wanted my students to take this information, take this visual, take this text, and take this visual as well. I did not ask from them to make pretty drawings, but what I wanted them to understand was to think in sequence. What happens 10,000 years from this initial situation, where we have one moving closer to the other one moving away from the other one. I tried to keep things simple here. So what I asked from them was to take these registering lines, showing that, okay, if these are moving towards each other, this will move this side, this will move to this side. And as these are moving away from each other, so there should be a separation. And in 3 poses, I asked them to work on this script and create these mountains, create these volcanoes, create these earthquakes, show how these work. So it's, again, partially knowledge that I try to teach in the class, and partially their imagination, and partially trying to make a sense of what they can do with what they have in mind. So this was my solution, but it's a bit more detailed than I'm expecting. But again, this gives us an understanding of things moving, things deforming, things changing shape in time while keeping their volumes intact. Same idea with animation, same mindset. So that's it's no coincidence that animation is so related to life and things happening in real life. So again, some drawings that I did to show them how mountains are created. So these 6 drawings are just showing in time how things are moving and how things are creating the mountains that we know today. So, and the drawings that we're going to see from this point on are mostly my work on how I've tried to find my own voice. And that's what I've been trying to express to my students as well. And that's the key, I feel, is with any form of education, is to have the student to find their own voice. We did not have any form of pressure from the school saying, okay, you should be leaning towards this type of a style, you should be drawing this, you should be drawing that. So, but gave us a chance to really experiment what we could do, what would be the styles that we could pursue. We would watch a lot of films, and from those we would take examples on which films or which type of style we could pursue. And of course, it's going to evolve in time. And one thing that I generally suggest is to find your own sources of inspiration. What are the things that have inspired you? What are the things that you grew up with? What are the things that you want to draw more, because you'll be able to express them better. You'll be having more knowledge about them, and it will give you an edge. So, and like you can see, my initial inspiration was the Westerns and comic books. And until I found out about Mobius, I wasn't too much into collecting them. But when I was introduced to Blueberry, then things started changing. And still, drawing Westerns and creating work in the genre really excites me. And I try to do more of that work as well. And mix it up with maybe science fiction, mix it up with other forms of storytelling. So this drawing I did for with the respect to Mobius, with respect to his style of work. So not an imitation, but work inspired by Mobius, the late Mobius. And yet, that's the key design issue. Another challenge that I propose to my students is to take a concept and base your design on that concept. So this is this is part of a assignment that I created for my students. I asked them to create characters, saying, okay, the main source of inspiration are sea creatures. Try to come up with a warrior in the shape of in the body of a fish. So take this from here, take this from there. That will be up to them. But the main concept, or could be one, or it could be a combination of things, should be evident in the work. That will be one of the challenges when animators go out in the professional life. They will be given a task, and that task will be, if they are not given that concept initially, they will have to base their work on a concept saying, okay, this will be my source of inspiration. This is going to be the base which I'm going to produce my work on. And that's a trait that will have to be developed in time or will eventually develop in professional life. So more examples from marine life, another thing which is very exciting to me as well. And another key concept which we learned and was to try to get the audience to try to have an understanding of what will be the audience reaction. So with the presentation of visuals in the diagonal, we know that it has a dynamic effect. When it's vertical, it's more on the alert. When it's horizontal, it's more sedate. So that's one of the factors to consider when you are aiming for an effect on the audience. With my work, I try to get a dynamic view. I try to force the dynamics of the visuals. So it's mostly something I do consciously and something I push with that in mind as well, to try to get a dynamic expression, to try to, even though the poses may not be so, to try to present the situation in such a way that dynamism or the dynamic effect will take over. Yes, and even doing abstract work is nice as well. So I stay mostly with figurative work, but tend to try to come up with abstract work as well. So this again comes from life drawing, having the notion of just drawing without thinking, putting things there without having any form of hesitation about what it will look like. It may look nice, so what? You have just gone through the experience. If it looks nice and you're able to present it, it's a gain on your part. So I'll have a couple of more visuals. Yes, I did this one for, again, some of the work has been through my own inspiration, some of them professional, some of them with respect to education, and some of them, and this one is against violence, is for a protest against violence against women and sexual abuse, and just hands not being restricted to where they should stop, and unfortunately pushing forward and touching lives which they were not supposed to touch. So social awareness, trying to come up with your own idea or your own expression of what you feel about the current situation will again be the task for an artist. And I do not go too much into political stuff, but I try to keep in relation to what's going on in life and try to come up with ways of expressing my point of view. Mm-hmm. So life of an animator, and again, all choices, and another choice that we may have is to have a depth of field, things that are closer to camera, things that are away from the camera, and creating a focal point about the main attraction of what should be in that composition. So again, visual thinking, visual storytelling, even if we do not create the visuals, all of us, depending on what we do, will be using visuals. So understanding animation, understanding the meaning of key pose gives us a chance to be more selective about which visuals or will be working in our favor, which visuals are more expressive, which visuals are the ones which are in rhythm, which are in expression of what we're trying to suggest. And again, some abstract work, semi-abstract, let me say. And yes, you asked me to sing Faro. I'm not all that prepared, but when I went through my drawings, I felt that I've been drawing a person playing the guitar and with the hat, and so I think I can't sing right now, but I think that I'm preparing myself for it. So hopefully when we meet in person, I'm going to have a piece for you.
Okay.
That I can promise. And I hope you like it. I do not know.
I'm sure. Nice.
Thank you. And this is the last image that I'm going to share. And I will thank all of, thank you first for having me here, and thank everyone who has joined us. And I'll be happy to have your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Burak. It was fantastic.
Thank you.
I have here some people very happy with your presentation, sending some mails. Before I have here one or two questions to put you, but before them, excuse me, I have this privilege. I put first one or two questions that come from me, and looking to your presentation, I was wondering if you are. There are two things that I like. Do you think you are an engineer that come to animation, or you were always an animator that goes during a moment in engineering?
I would prefer the second. But life has been in such a way that, like, when I was going through the education, the school that I went to, most of the thing in Turkey was that, and at that time we only had state universities and they were free. So the first thing that you had to do was to go with your intellect first, not your heart. So I was leaning towards maths, and with maths, the first thing that comes to mind is engineering. So fine arts was never an issue. So I went through the engineering training period. I worked as an engineer, and I even completed my military service. And then I decided I should do something with drawing skills. And things have evolved in time, and I'm hoping that I reach the animator in me with films, with information that I'll be sharing with animation enthusiasts.
Yeah, because you have a base also as in engineering. I was thinking that it could be seeing your projects and your propositions and your thoughts about education and how to use it. I'm thinking if it was not good to teach storyboarding to managing people and engineering people.
Definitely.
Because what you show, it was kind of before I do my no matter what I'm gonna do or what I build, this mall or a house or a garden, I made my project. And this project, if you have a drawing, if you have a kind of a storyboard with also a plan of timing, it will be perfect. Yeah, it was a very good tool. I suppose lots of engineers must learn something also from you, not only animators.
Thank you. But I also think that it's a new ground for animators as well, because with jobs in entertainment, they're very limited. There aren't all that many studios around who are able to offer jobs to every student who comes out of animation school. So it will be up to the animators, it will be up to visual storytellers to open new doors, and this could be a new door for them. To get people to understand that with visuals, they can express themselves better, they can relate to what's going on better. So I hope it opens up new bridges between disciplines, and I'm thinking in time that it will do so.
Good. We have here a question from a teacher also, is also a very good friend of our festival, Américo Jones. She's We teach also animation, digital animation in the secondary school. And for a long time, he helped us also to show animation in the other side of the Tejo River, in the other side of Lisbon. And he asked you, do you think that animation is still seen by the education process as an object of entertainment and could or should be used as an important pedagogical tool?
I think it's an important pedagogical tool and an educational tool for sure. But the overall perception of animation is that it's for entertainment purposes and it's for kids only. So that has to change. Again, that may be the main volume of work done within animation, but I think it's a very powerful tool. It's a very nice educational tool. If done correctly and if done in a nice manner, it will be able to not only present information, but also give a sense of aesthetics, a sense of beauty, a sense of rhythm when you think about music as well. So another discipline which will come in play, just like we talked about yesterday. So all layers adding up to the content, and I totally agree that it's a very powerful pedagogical and an educational tool.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm sure that America Jones too, because it's a great pedagogue. I love only to say that we have here Sandra Ramos and some other people saying that they love it. And we have also Laura Gonçalves. She's happy. She's also a Portuguese director. Zoel Catestic, also beautiful drawings. And especially, let me mention that we had Joanna Quinn with us, you know, the great British director, that say that you have a beautiful work.
Thank you. She was one of my inspirational animators who I followed. Like when I watched Britannia, I said, okay, this is the style that I want to pursue. This is because with animation, with most of classical animation, you are in a position to have those cleanup lines, to drop everything down to just one line. With her work, I said, there can be more lines, there can be lines flying around. So thank you, Gianna, for leading the way, and looking forward to more of your work. And hello to Sandra as well. We had a nice collaboration with the jury work that we did in the previous MONSTRA session, and hopefully we'll have a chance to do it again.
Yeah, she's. We love a lot Joanna Quinn, her work, and we are waiting. All of us, not only MONSTRA, but the whole world are waiting for her future that she's quite finishing. I hope. João Guimarães put you a question. Your work is fantastic. How do you change? How do you change from teaching geology to animation?
Well. At that point, when I was teaching at the civil engineering department, we moved from Istanbul to Ankara. So the first thing I did was to look for jobs within fine arts faculties. And at that time, there weren't all that many available. So with the diplomas that I had, the option was to teach civil engineering. And it was not my first choice, but it was something I had to do. And in doing that, I tried to find a way to make a connection with the content. My Master of Science was on geotechnical engineering, so I had some background on geological works, but I was not too deep into geological details. And the university that I was working in Ankara, the education within the engineering faculty was in the English language. And geology is mostly text-related material. So to find a way to, it was actually a way of problem solving for me, because to be able to transfer information and to get information in return would be hard when we went to exchange with words in another language that not all the students were very comfortable with. So visuals helped me, and they opened up a new environment where I could challenge myself as well, and to use those storytelling skills with animation and to adapt it to something that I'd never worked on. So it was a challenge on two parts, but it was something that I had to do, and it just occurred by way of life.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That means you get already inside you your this virus of animation.
Definitely, yes. Probably I was born with it, but it took me time.
And you are sharing.
Exactly, yes. And it's been growing and growing.
Yeah. I have here from my, that it was a question that comes in my cellular phone from Nancy Phelps. I suppose you know her.
Yes, definitely.
And she asked, how can we make the world more aware, more that animation is for adults as well as for children?
I
How
think the
can
biggest
change?
exactly. And hello to Nancy as well. Well, I think the festivals are the main venues for that, and they are the environment where people will come in and take a look at other films that they are not accustomed to seeing. So I would say festivals and right now like networks coming in and asking for adult animation and asking for different content. And right now with broadcasting over the internet, people have the choice of creating their own work without being selected by a publisher. So I think the main source, the main venue will still be the festivals. That's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. Of course, we should push. I'm gonna share with everybody that next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we're gonna have a special program in the Portuguese television.
Nice.
Where we're gonna all the programs in the morning from 8 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon will be a program made by us, by the MONSTRA Festival, where we're gonna share with everybody in a bigger room because
Nice.
television arrives to lots of people. You know, animation that normally is not presented in television.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the big screen that we like to show, you know, animation more than in a small screen. But anyway, it's a good, it's also, and we are very happy that the Portuguese television make this project with us, and we could share a little bit of the other kinds of animation with everybody. And this is very, very interesting.
Nice. That's wonderful.
Okay, I have here some, yeah, Tanya Young say fantastic, great job. PP, I don't know, it's only two great presentation. Burak Sahin and Alj, for the name, it's a Portuguese person. Great, thank you so much. Konstantin Bukov, absolutely fabulous presentation. Burak Sahin, you have yeah, some. Joanna Queen say again, thank you very much to you.
Thank you. I'm honored by all the accolades. Thank you.
Nancy put another question. What is the state of animation in Turkey on this moment?
It's growing, and the government has created a limit for animation broadcasting, saying for every, let's say, 100 hours, a certain percentage of that should come from national production. So animation has been of interest in Turkey for a long time now, but the problem that I feel is affecting the most is the problem with consistency. We've had studios opening up, closing down, and studios which have been able to continue even for a long time, but they had to stay within certain limits. There has been feature films coming out. There are TV shows which are totally produced nationally. So animation with professional studios, with now lots of departments opening up, there's a demand for it and an interest for it as well. But professionally, I would say the lack of consistency of being able to keep and maintain professional teams have been the major problem with Turkish animation scene.
Good. But it's growing, yeah? This is important. Is growing up.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. And do you think that the students that come out from your school, it's also a good way to push to become a kind of an industry? Because in Portugal, I suppose there was always a small development, but slowly the government began to put more money in developing projects and in animation. But I suppose also the people, the youngs that come from the school, put pressure also. And now, comparing with 20 years ago, there are much more people doing animation. And in our festival, if the people are seeing our MONSTRA at home during this week, they can see that there are in some Portuguese projects, some students, very interesting. Yes. And some of these students are already presenting films as professionals in the international competition and also in the Portuguese competition. And the schools were and that's still important also for this development. Yeah.
For sure, yes, definitely. I felt that the school environment is a good environment to really try to improve oneself, because in the professional life, you mostly do not have enough time to really put out the work that you feel would be the best work that you can come up with. So within the school environment, you would probably have time. The problem the schools mostly have is the lack of infrastructure mostly. There's a big demand on the student side, but there are also academicians, people who know animation, but they struggle with coming up with a product, coming up with a finished product in the form of a film. We had like the last time I visited MONSTRA, I felt fortunate that at the same time we had a student film there as well. So, but unfortunately, we did not have the chance to do that on a consistent level. Again, that's the problem with I feel. With the Turkish animation scene, consistency with keeping teams and consistency with having student films which are always screened at film festivals. When you reach that level, I think that level really proves that you have made your point with animation, you have made your point with the way you utilize animation to express yourself.
Yeah, and I'm sure it must be like that. Turkey is a so big country with a strong culture,
exactly.
And so many things, visually and historical, that I'm sure it's a base for fantastic animation films, shorts and features. Okay, I have here greetings to you also from Lithuania, from Valentina,
nice.
Great friend. João Guimarães, thank you very much. And Andrea, say thank you for your presentation. As a biologist now starting in a field of animation, that it was a quite good inspiration for
thank
me.
You.
Yeah.
Good luck.
You are inspiring people. Okay, I suppose we have all the questions. I don't know if you want. Thank you for. We have here Zengineken, Hern. Thank you for your presentation and sharing your approach and managing process as a colleague of Burak Sahin from Maltepe University. I also have
my esteemed colleague.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Warm regards from your colleague.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, good. It's nice to know that are people from your colleagues and from your school. Okay, if there are no other questions, I only must thank you 3 times at least.
Okay.
One, because Burak is also a jury member of our competition, and they made already their job that we're going to show the selection or the choices it was made by them, him and his colleagues in the jury. We're going to show it Saturday at after the masterclass with our good friend Ed Hooks. That means I hope we can join again on this time. Thank you very much to be our jury member. Thank you also very much to share with us all your experiences and to be so positive. I suppose this is very important on these moments that we must share essentially in us as human beings and someone that can think by ourselves and can create. And this is very important. And it's nice. The name. It's nice your talk and the name that you decide to put it also. And also thank you very much to be with us, to be our friend. It's you know that is always a very very good joy to be with you and to share things with you. And thank you very much for that.
Thank you. It has been my pleasure, my honor, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share the love of animation, the love that we all share with the works that we do. And I'm very grateful and feel very fortunate that you, the Festival of MONSTRA and the City of Lisbon and all animation family is here tonight, and hopefully we'll be together again.
Okay, and don't forget, tomorrow we have here Eduardo Puertas, Catalan, that will talk about stop motion. He's also a very inspiring person. And before I leave, I also invite everybody, if not before, in March 2021, not only to see the next MONSTRA Festival, but also to listen Burak Sahin sing a fado.
Okay, let's set the date. And I'll start working on it.
Thank you very much, Burak, and
thank you.
Keep in touch. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, also to be with us. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for being with us tonight.